Hello and welcome to this presentation where we're going to look at the workflows that we here in Economic recommend that you are using to gain the best workflow with your documents. Let me just skip to the next slide. I can present today's agenda, but first I can speak a little about myself. So, who am I? My name is Oliver, and I work here in Economic in the support, both on the telephone support and on the chat support. That means that if you contact us on the support, you might get in touch with me. Before we're getting started totally with the course, it is important for me to emphasize that this course is made for the customers that daily works in the smart package, or maybe you work in one of the other packages and then you would like to see which function that follows with the smart package. What will we go through? I'm not sure if you have already seen it, but there's a video about the introduction to the inbox, which tells about some of the basic functions in the inbox. I think it tells a few quite nice things. First of all, it tells how to get your documents into the inbox. It shows what buttons and functions are there in the inbox. So I would definitely recommend that you watch the introduction video about the inbox. The other things we're going to look at is the first workflow. It's the one called bank to entry. And then we have another workflow, which is called document to entry. And then lastly, I will show you where you can find your booked entries. So you can still see all your documents when they're digitalized in Economic. I'll just skip to the next slide again. Actually, a good colleague of mine made this visualization of what we're going to go through in this course. This visualization shows the two workflows. So let us start with the workflow called banked to entry. So the first one. Bank to entry is the most used bookkeeping method there is in Economic. It has the advantage that it is an easy and simple way to handle the expenses and the income that goes through the bank. Furthermore, it takes its starting point in the bank, which we know for sure is something that we must book in our journals. Shortly, the flow is that we have our bank entries, which can be shown in the bank reconciliation. Then I have used the transfer function, which means that my entries is being created in the journals. In the transfer overview, I have the opportunity to use the auto suggest function when my entries are in the journals. I can match them with my documents by using the auto attach function. And if I don't have the documents, then I can use the function document request. So that's the first flow, and the second flow takes its starting point in the inbox. That is the place where we can upload our documents, which is being explained in the video I just mentioned before in the beginning of this course. When your documents are uploaded, you have the opportunity to send it to approval if you want to, or maybe you already have set up workflows that might send your documents to approval. Then you can create an entry, and here you will have the help from our smart scan, which scans the document and fills out data such as date and amount. After that, it is possible to send it to the journal. If we're speaking of supplier invoices, you must pay them at one point, and for that you can use SmartPay. SmartPay has its own course, therefore I won't go into that in this course. Then there is the story about the bank reconciliation. You might look at it daily, weekly, or might monthly, depends on what kind of company you have or work for. If you don't have, or if you have some expenses, you can use the transfer function and then create the entries. And if you don't have the document in the inbox to attach to the entry, then you can use the document request function, which is being explained in the first flow up here. So I won't go deep into that in the second flow. Now let's go to Economic and let's see what we can see in there. And then I can see here that is my agreement. This is how my agreement looks like. I can go to the accounting, and then I can see that I have two journals here actually, one called from inbox and one called from bank. It is not because I recommend that you guys have so, it's just because it's easier for me to tell about the two different workflows when I have it in two separate journals. But it's not recommended that you will do that. Our first flow takes the starting point in the bank, so I'll go to the journal from bank. Here, you should imagine that I had used my bank reconciliation and I have used the transfer function. That means that I now have my entries here in the journal. Actually, that means that I'm ready to match my entries with my documents. So that was the first step in the flow. The next step is getting my entries matched up with my documents that I have in the inbox. I'll actually do that by clicking up here to the right and oh, this button, auto attach documents to draft entries. So if I click on that button, we can see that I actually have 8 matching documents. 7 of them, they have actually the accuracy that date and amount are matching. And then I have one of them which says that the date is matching within days, which means that the amount might not, oh, the amount is correct, but the date differs within some days. I actually have some settings that I can click at. So if I click up here at the settings, then I can see what number of days do I allow in difference between documents and entries, and then I will still get a match. This is the standard settings, so that is 3 days. If you want to have more than 3 days, you can click here, and then you can choose same day or up to 8 days in difference before the system still allows a match. So I'll just cancel this, and you can always go to your own account and see what settings do you need in your agreement. I'll just cancel it, and then I can see here I have these 7 matches. They match on date and amount, and then I have this one, and then I can always check, is this the right document for this entry? I'll do that by taking my mouse here, and then I'll see, okay, it's actually this from Q8. I have bought some Starbucks triple shot and a frap coffee, and then I can see the amount is 45 kronas. And I can see the date here is the 25th of February. So I'll just take my mouse away again, and then I can see, okay, this is actually from Q8, and the date is the 27th of February. So that is actually the correct um, document for this entry, and then I can actually click on confirm here, which matches the entries with these documents. So when I click confirm here, then I can see that a document has been attached, and I can actually see it down here that I can show document on these. So if I want to see the document for this netto, I can click here, and then I actually can see, okay, this is actually the right document. If I want to remove a document from an entry, I can always use this function where I open up the document, and I can use this function up here so I can remove the document. I can click on remove document here, and then if I remove the attached document, I can move it back to the inbox. So I actually won't delete it from my agreement. I just move it back to the inbox. I can cancel here, and I can also close this one down. And then I can see that I actually have this one called UNO-X. I know that I have the document for the UNO-X, but apparently the auto match function didn't find the document because maybe it varies in the date. So I can always click here and add a document from unprocessed, and then I can open up here and see, okay, the date is not quite, uh, maybe there have been some sticky fingers or something, and then I can actually attach it to the entry manually. So I click on it here, and then I can see that the document has been attached to my entry. I hope it makes sense so far. So what if we don't have the document that belongs to an entry? That is the next step. Then we can always use this function that I told about earlier, the request documents. So this function can be used if an employee maybe has a credit card and haven't given the document to the accountant or the person that has the responsibility for the accounting part in the firm. When we go to request documents, it's out here in the menu to the left. So I'll just click here. Then I can actually see when it has been loaded that this is the draft entries in this period that would be shown. So all the entries that don't have a document attached. If I think, oh, I might need some of my entries, then I can actually go up here to the top right corner. I have a filter function. So I can always filter for date, maybe from specific entries, maybe for specific amounts or accounts. I don't have that many entries in my journals, so I don't have that many draft entries, but I have seen customers with maybe a couple hundred draft entries, so that's why it's good that you can activate these filters. So which filters should be searched for to see the exact entries that I'm looking for. It's important to show that you can search for booked entries only, or you can show for draft entries only. You can't search them up at the same time, so you need to choose between these two options. I'll just press OK here, and then we can see I have cheated a bit. I have already received a document, so I can send a request for this journal entry. Someone has been in Lavkagehuset and maybe bought some cake. And then I can press this here, I select it, and then I can send the request. When I'm pressing the send request button, it shows here that I can send the request to some users. I have 3 users here. 2 of them has the same name. It's me, both of them. And then I can actually create a new user if I want to. If I press here and create a new user, I can see that I actually get 2 different opportunities. I can create a normal user, which cost me 119 Danish kroner a month. And then I can also create a document sender, which only has access through the mobile or the economic app. So it cost me nothing, 0 Danish kroner a month. So if you have an employee that might have this credit card and they don't have to see all the accounting that goes on in the economic agreement, I would really recommend you to choose a document sender. I'll just cancel here and then let me just try to send this document, send this request, and I'll just send it here. And then I have requested this. So it means that this user that I chose is getting a notification on his or hers cell phone, which shows that we have actually sent them a document request. So when you have made the request, how does it actually look for the person that received this request? I have some pictures with me from the app that I would like to show you. Therefore, I'll just go back to my slideshow. I'll just skip here back to the slideshow like that. Perfect. And then we can see the pictures here. Before we're talking about the pictures, it is important for me to tell that these pictures are from an iPhone and that the pictures have been taken from a user that is created as a document sender. So if you have an Android mobile phone or if you are a normal user, it might look a little bit different, but all in all, it's the same procedure that you need to follow. So if we are taking a look at the first picture, then the app opens and we can actually take a picture of the document that we would like to send to the inbox. If we press here on home, then we'll get to this second picture. So here we can see the settings. There you can activate notifications. So you will get these notifications if you have a document request. You can also on the top to the left where these shadows are, here you can switch between agreements. So are you a user that has access to multiple agreements, then you can actually switch between them there. If you click on the clock, then you will get to the notifications. So that is the third picture. Here you can see that a request is pending, and when we are clicking on it, we can actually see the fourth picture. So this picture. Here in the fourth picture, then we can see that the camera opens. And if we're clicking add document, then we can see that the camera opens and we can actually take a picture of the document that we have received a request about. If you have a match on the request and the document that you're taking a picture of, then you will see these green markings down here. If there isn't a match, then these markings would be red. So if you take a picture and you have these green markings and you press send, then there would be no other things shown in the app. But if you have these red markings, it would say this over here that the match is a bit off because what we are requested is not the one that we have uploaded. So you can always say that you wouldn't see this message again, and you can send it anyway into the inbox. So it's actually just a bit of a help. So when the document sender has sent the document in, then what should the person that works in economic then do? That is what we're going to take a look at now, and it's also then the very last step of this workflow. So when we have received the document, then we could go back to economic. So I'll just switch back to economic. And then we can see here that we need to, or we can't see that, but I'll just tell you that we actually need to go down to this called documents for review. And here we can see that I have these requested documents. I have received this one. It's from something called Hooked in Carlsbergbyen in Copenhagen. So I go here to documents for review. I can see some information about the journal entry that I have sent this request for. It is actually the one here, Carlsbergbyen, Hooked. The amount, I can see which accounts it should be booked at, takes it gets that information up from the entry, and then here I can see the picture that the document sender has sent to me. So it's actually an receipt from Hooked Carlsbergbyen, and the amount is actually also correct. So these 937 kronas. So it's matched, and then I can reject it. I can make a request, and then I can approve it. So because it's the correct document, I'll just approve it like that, and then I actually have no other documents to review. I can see down here that the document has been attached to the entry. I'll just close this one and jump up back to my journal, and then I can see that this one called Hooked Kasperbyen, it actually has an attachment to it right now. And it's just something that happened because I just approved this document. So I can show document here, and then I can see that it's the document from the documents for review down here. Then it all seems nice. So yeah, that was the first flow when we are working with the workflow bank to have an entry in the journal with a document attached to it. So I hope it all makes sense so far. Next up, we're going to look at the second workflow, which is this called document to entry. First of all, it is important to get your documents into the inbox. There are actually 6 different ways to do so, and it is all explained in the video that I mentioned in the beginning of this course. So when I'm clicking at my smart inbox up here, then I can see that I have some documents here in my inbox. And then I actually have the opportunity to send my documents to approval. Then I can choose between the users that have access to the specific agreement. It is also a possibility to manage the approvers, and then I have to create the approvers as users before I can add them as an approver. So when I have this, I can maybe see that this called Open Neon APS, it's a quite high amount, 11,000 Danish kroner, and I can mark it here, and then I can send it to approval here up on this letter. I'll just click here, and as you can see here, new approval flows are now available in the Advantage package. If you want to create approval where you can do it sequential, then you can upgrade to the Advanced package. So when I want to send my document for approval, I need to choose that I want approval for any of the following approvers, and then I should choose the one that I need approval for. So it could be Oliver here, it's myself, and then I can send it to approval. As I mentioned before, you can manage your approvers, so you can again click here to manage them. Then you can see that you can choose between them here. So instead of using these email approvers right now, then you should create a document sender, and you can read more if you click on the link here. But you need to create your approvers as document senders, and then you can add them here as approvers. I'll just go back here and cancel, and then I can send this one for approval. What we will see is that the document, this Open Neon, would remove from the inbox, and then it will actually go down here in pending approval. So if I click here on send for approval, Then I can see it goes down here in pending approval. And then what then happens? So me, Oliver, I'm going to look at my phone because I actually got a notification, and then I need to approve this document. So when I'm sending this document, it was removed from the inbox, and then we can see, in the app, how does it look for the person that has to do the approval. Again, I have some pictures from the app with me, so I'll just go back to the slide. Just go back here, and then I have these pictures with me. And again, the pictures here, they are from an iPhone and from a document sender. So again, if you have an Android mobile phone, or if you're a normal user, then it would maybe look a little bit different, but the principles are the same. So we have already looked at this first picture. If you press settings, then you will come into this picture, so the second picture. Then you can choose if you want to get these notifications or not. I would recommend that you turn notifications on so that you don't miss any approvals or requests that you might get. If we look at the third picture over here, then here I have clicked into the notifications on the clock, and then I can see that I have actually a document approval that is pending. So I can see that here. If I go click into it, I can see that I have this document that I have been told to approve. And if I can't see the whole document, I can just take my finger here and then scroll down, and then I can see the whole document. If we look at the fourth picture, so that is if I choose to reject the approval, then I can choose between these quick responses, or I can actually customize my own response and then reject it. So if I approve it, this picture would not show up. You can actually also approve the document in your email. And if I just skip to the next slide, then you would receive an email. My email system is in Danish, so that's why these pictures are in Danish. But it says that there has been a document sent to you for approval. Then I can press here on watch, look at the document, and then I'll get this um, picture up where I can see the document, and then I can approve it or reject it. And then I can also write a note here, and then I should remember to press on here. So that is also an opportunity that you have, that you can also approve it in the email system. So this is actually the manually way to send your documents to approval. And now let us talk about the workflows, because we actually have the opportunities to set up workflows where we're getting our documents sent in by the unique mail, the mobile app, or as an electronic invoice. These are the only three ways to send your documents into the inbox that actually triggers these workflows. So I'll just get back to economic. And then actually, I have cheated a bit before this course, and I have actually already created 4 different workflows. So we should maybe take a look at them. I'll just press the button up here, workflows, and then I can see I have created these 4 workflows already. So let us just take a look at them. I have the first one here called documents below 100 kronas. So if a document's bill amount is less than 100, then automatically send it to the inbox to the folder called awaiting. Then I have this second one. If a document's upload type is one of the following, if it comes from the mobile app, then automatically require approval from any of the following approvers, Oliver, and then send it to the inbox to the awaiting folder. And the third one is here. If a document supplier name is one of the following, the Grønneri, it's a supplier of mine, then automatically require approval from any of the following approvers, Oliver, and then send it to the folder awaiting in the inbox. And then lastly, I have this fourth workflow. So approval if a document is greater than 5,000 Danish kroners, then automatically require approval from the CEO of economic, and then send it to the folder awaiting in the inbox. So that is actually my workflows. What you should pay attention to if you work with these workflows is that you have this priority over here to the left. So let us take an example. If we get an invoice, the amount is over 5,000 Danish kroner, but it comes from the supplier called the Grønne Rige. So how would this approval look at? How would this approval, or who would this approval go to if we have such document? So how it works with these workflows is that the document is sent to the inbox, and then it see here, these are the triggers. So is the bill amount less than 100? It is not, because I just told that the amount was over 5,000. Then I can close this. It is not triggered by the first workflow. Then maybe the second workflow are the upload type from the mobile app. It is not, it's being sent in by email, but are the invoice from the supplier called the Grønne Rige, and it actually is. So that's why the document is being triggered by this workflow, and therefore the um, approval is sent to Oliver instead of the CEO, even though the amount on the document is over 5,000 Danish kroners. So I just need to check my priorities, and then I can actually go here to priority number 4. That is my first priority. If any of the documents are over, the amount is over 5,000 Danish kroners, I would really like the CEO to approve these documents. So I can go here out to the left, or to the right, I mean, and then I can click here on other actions, press here, and then I can actually move it to the top or just move it one up. So I'll just move it to the top because this is actually my first priority. That is that it is the CEO that um, is going to approve any document if the amount is over 5,000 Danish kroner. You can also create new workflows. If I click here, you can start from scratch, or you can use economics templates. We can just click here and use templates, and then we have these different templates. So we have these basic ones. If the bill amount is greater than, or amount is less than, equal to, is it should it be sent directly to the journal? Is it from a specific supplier? And so on and so on. Then we have these approval. So these one would require approval. Is it from an electronic invoice? Is it from a specific supplier? Then send the approval request to this and that. So here you can use one of economics templates. You have all these between or to choose between, and then you can also create your own from scratch if you would like to. So that was just a briefly introduction to these workflows. If you want to learn more about it, just reach out to us in the support, and we can assist you on how to create these workflows. So now, when we have looked at these workflows and manually sending documents to approval, then we can start creating the entries. So here we can go back to the inbox here. Then I can see I still have a document pending for approval. I can actually approve it here in the economic agreement also, and I can also approve it in the app as we saw before, and in the email as we also saw before. I can click here, and then because it's my user that is the approver, then I can also approve it here in the inbox. So I'll just approve it, and then it would be removed here from pending approval, and then back up to the inbox. So we can see here that it has been approved, and by who, and when it was approved. So right now the inbox looks like this. Now we are ready to create our entries. So if we just take the first one, we can see that this is a bill from something called the Coffee Collective. So I can press here that I want to create a new entry. And then you can see all these yellow markings is actually something that this smart scan has filled in for us. That means that we don't have to fill out all the data by ourselves. So let us start creating the entries. This is a journal entry. I can see that the date is correct. And then on my account, I can use that this was this account, and the contra account could be the bank. Then I can write a text that it's 2 coffees, like this. And then I can create new entry. Then I can do the same on this one. I can see that this is a supplier invoice. It's also correct. I have this date. So it's the 14th of March 23. I have the correct invoice number. And actually here down in supplier number, it says that there's a new registration number which has not been detected. So then I can create a new supplier based on that. If I press here on search and list, then I can see that I can create a new supplier based on this corporation registration number, new supplier. Then I can create it. It's number 4, still in group number 1. And then I can actually also use this cost account. So do I know that this supplier always, it's the expenses is always on the same account? Then I can put in that account here on the cost account. So that might be this account when it's my economic bill, and then I can type in here, then quarter, just like that. I can also fill in the payment terms. It's little day. I can see that down here, and then I can save and apply. And then it has filled in everything for me, and then I don't need to type in anything else on this document. So I can create that as a new entry. We can see here that this is not the first time that I got an invoice from the Grønnerie. So that is why it has already been created as a supplier. I can see down here, and then I actually have this contra account automatically and the text automatically also. Then I don't need to type in anything. I just take a little look. Does it match the document? And it seems quite right. Then I can create new entry. And actually, the same happens here on this invoice from the firm called Open Neon here. Again, it have filled in everything for me, and then I can create the entry again. So just like that, I have no other documents in my inbox, and then they have all been removed to the journal. So if I go back here to accounting, then I can see in my journal here, I have all these 4 entries created for me, and they have also documents attached. So now we have created the entries, and they are, as we see here in the journal, as these draft entries. If you, like me, have some supplier invoices, then you can pay them with this smart pay that I was talking about. It's something that you see out here in the menu to the left. I mentioned it earlier, it has its own free online course. Therefore, I would not come across that here in this course. And then there's the telling about the bank reconciliation. You might look at it once a week, once a day, or once a month, depending on what firm that you own or work for. And then you can use the transfer function, and then you can add documents manually or send the document request. And we actually already come across these topics, so therefore I would not go into that again. And that was actually the last step of this workflow that we now looked at, called document to entry. So what we can see is that when we work with these 2 different workflows, we actually end up the same place. So we end up with our um, documents attached to our entries in our journals. So often it would be a good solution to work with both of these workflows, but of course it is up to you how you would work in your economic agreement. Here we have looked at 2 of the most effective ways to work with your documents in economic, and I hope that was a bit inspirational for you, and then you can might apply some of these workflows to your use of economic. So as I also mentioned in the beginning, where can you find your uploaded documents when the entries are booked? I will just show you that. You can find them many different places here in economic. You can find them in the accounting here, searches and lists, and then find entries. So the entries that I'm showing now is the entries that already have been booked. So it's not these journal entries up here or these draft entries in the journal. So I'll just press OK. Then we can see here I might have something called here gasoline grill. I can press here show document, and then I actually get to see the document. Just turn it a bit like that. And then I can also close it again, and I can remove the document if I would like to. I can also find it here in the chart of accounts. So if I scroll a bit down, I can see that I have posted something here on this account. I can press ledger card, and then I can see that it is Coffee Collective. So someone has also been at Coffee Collective. And these entries are already booked. You can also find it in the reports, maybe in the period total. I can press OK. Then I can scroll down here. I have used something on this account. Then it's Uno X, and this is an receipt from Uno X, and it has already been booked. And then again, I can close it, and that is 3 of the many ways to find your uploaded documents. So we have actually come across all the things that I would like to tell you guys about. So if we go back to the slide here, I'll just press up here. Then we can see that it was actually these two workflows that we should look at. We can see that we have looked at the 2 different workflows, bank to entry. We started in our journals where we have used the bank entry with auto suggest. Then we have our auto attach function, and then we could use the document request function. And we also looked at how does the person that works in the app, how do they see it? Then we talked about the second workflow, document to entry. We had our documents in the inbox. We talked about manually approval and approval with workflows, or how to create workflows. Then we created the entries. We saw how SmartScan helped us with all these already filled out data. If you had these supplier invoices, you could pay the supplier with SmartPay. And then you could use the bank reconciliation. If you look at it maybe once a day or a week or a month, and then you can again use the auto attach function and then document request. So that was the topics for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for today, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact our support and refer to our guidance on Ecopedia. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a very nice day. Bye.